Was a beginner criticized for beginning? When Haley Pham, a YouTuber who built a large audience reviewing books, published her debut novel, some reactions were harsh. Issues with the writing were described as so obvious that they should have been caught by an editor. The book's rough edges were seen as evidence that it wasn't ready, and for some, the explanation was this. It felt amateurish because, unlike most debut novels, it genuinely seemed to be one. Now, I have no idea to what extent those criticisms reflected reality, but my reaction was different. What's wrong with a debut novel feeling like a debut novel? There seems to be an underlying expectation that if a work isn't fully formed from the start, maybe it shouldn't be published at all, which is strange. I got paid as a sales assistant from day one, even though it took me days to master the cash register and weeks to feel comfortable with customers. Most professions allow for a visible learning curve. So why does creative work sometimes feel different? Maybe because we've spent years encountering books, films, and albums that were presented or remembered as beginnings when they often weren't. Just recently, a friend referred to Memento as Christopher Nolan's first film, even though he had already directed a feature before that, not to mention several shorts. And yet, I understand why people think of it that way. It's the film that put him on the map. We see a similar tension every year with the Grammy Award for Best New Artist. Some nominees have been making music for years, which inevitably raises the same question. New to whom? To the industry? To the public? A global audience? What we often call a debut is sometimes just the moment an artist reaches us. In other words, we tend to confuse a breakthrough with a beginning. Music offers some fascinating examples of that distinction. Björk introduced herself to much of the world with a solo album called Debut. An appropriate title? Not really. She had already released a self-titled album at 11. Years in Icelandic bands followed. Debut, released more than a decade later, marked a new chapter, not first step. And maybe that's where the confusion comes from. For a long time, audiences mostly encountered artists after their apprenticeship, after the failed drafts, after the abandoned projects, after the years spent learning. What we call a debut is often simply the first work that survived long enough or traveled far enough to reach us. The beginning happened much earlier. We just didn't get to see it. Today, we often do. Not because artists have become less polished, but because audiences have been invited closer to the process. We are no longer only seeing the arrival, we are seeing parts of the journey. I live that reality every day. I share demos on social media. Music that I mix even though I'm not a mixing engineer. Song that I sing with an unsure voice. Videos that might look amateurish to some people and will probably look amateurish to me in a few years, if not a few months. But is that a problem in and of itself? I don't think so. Because maybe what we're witnessing isn't a decline in quality. Maybe we're simply seeing something that used to remain hidden. A beginning. A real one. And if it still contains whatever imperfections it should contain, how could it be anything else?